Hughes, and I'm Mike Bradner, and we have with us today Kathie Wasserman, who's the Executive Director of the Alaska Municipal League.
Yes.
And that's literally every town and village in Alaska. Kathie, tell us first a little bit about yourself. I mean, you came from where?
I've been in Alaska approximately 30 years, and I've always been involved in local government. I came here basically as an archaeologist many years ago and worked for the Forest Service down in Southeast, Prince of Wales, and I think I was kind of out of town one weekend and got elected to be the mayor. And so that was my first sort of play with local government, and I loved it. I was also the city manager, administrator, whatever. It was a small town, the city of Kasan. And so I lived there for many years and was the mayor. Then my husband, because of his job, he worked for Search. We moved up to Sitka, and I was on the city assembly in Sitka for a number of years. And then we moved from there. He got a new clinic in Pelican. So we moved to Pelican, and after being there a year, I noticed that they just needed some help in their city, and the best way to do it was to be the mayor, and then I could be the administrator as well. I really like the desk work better than I do the elected official dumb stuff. But in a small town, it's kind of all the same. So I was the mayor of Pelican for many years, and that was great. And I loved Pelican and would have liked to have stayed there. However, I had to make a living, and so I was a board member already of AML, and so applied for one of their jobs and had that job for about a year and a half, and then
AML, I mean, it's you end up being more than just municipal leagues. You have parallel organizations that you assist and do.
Right.
I mean, those are
the managers, the municipal managers, the assessors, the attorneys, the planners, the city clerks, the mayors, fire chiefs. I think that's all and the attorneys.
So, I mean, that makes you a pretty efficient organization in terms of, I mean, you're a conduit of information among them, and of course on the Hill.
We try to keep up with everything that affects municipalities, everything, from their employees to their elected officials to the state and to the feds.
So if a legislator or anybody else they think, hey, this is a dumb question, but who do I call? You're there.
We hope so. And that's kind of one of the main things that I've always tried to stress to people. We may not always have the answer, but we pretty well pride ourselves on we know who you should call to get that answer if we don't have it.
So you represent our most sophisticated communities.
We represent all 164 of the cities and boroughs in the entire state.
The rich and the poor.
The rich and the poor.
Tell us about
the big and the small.
Tell us about the small and not so wealthy.
Well, they're having a very difficult time surviving. They're in a place where their tax base isn't very big because of either tribal lands or just you don't have that much to tax, maybe a small store. So as the state loses more and more money or goes through this fiscal crisis, these small communities really don't have anything to draw on in order to pay for some of the mandates that they have now or some of the needs that their citizens have. So it's very, very difficult for them. And I had a call last week from a community that said, we just can't do this anymore. I'm sending everyone home. So I think we need to have a discussion among the whole state. What do we do? If they close the government on Tuesday, what happens on Wednesday? They have infrastructure, they have utilities, they have ongoing costs, they have bills and liabilities. What happens to all of that? I think we need to discuss that. So what's going to cost us more, helping these communities or not helping them?
Because the problems that fall out from that, especially up at any time, end up on the state's the only
somebody's desk, right? And that's going to be very expensive as well.
We talk about the government shutdown on the national level, and for some of our communities, the revenue situation is one where that's where they end up.
Mm-hmm.
Give us an example of small communities that you hear from.
Well, I hear from, I mean, we get phone calls on a daily basis from small communities that just need help. They can't afford an attorney. Some of them don't have a city manager, they just have a clerk. And just to do some of the simple stuff, the state doesn't have a lot of money to help them. So they're kind of out there thinking, oh gosh, what do I do now? I mean, you know, you have a blank computer screen in front of you if they're so lucky as to have a computer. And how do I satisfy the state or the federal needs that they're asking for? It's very difficult. And they have, you know, there are issues, and they've got a lot of things to shuffle. So they call us.
I had somebody in the village, I mean, say they were about to send a check in for their IRS quarterlies, which weren't all that large, but suddenly they had an equipment malfunction. And so suddenly the quarterlies went on the back burner because they had to spend that money.
Right.
And
happens a lot. And we try to help them. Anything from, I've had some of my staffers put out an email notice. Does anybody have an old computer somewhere? Because let's just say Koyuk needs a new computer, or Buckland, or an old D9 Cat or something. We try to find out and patch those holes. We do everything. We try to do anything a municipality needs within reason and within the law.
so what's before us is understanding what's out there and what we're doing.
I think a lot of it is, my goal this year is to hopefully encourage the legislature to realize that not only are the oil companies their partners, but we local governments are their partners. We provide the services that the state cannot, will not provide. And I would hope that they would realize we are their partners.
Kathie, we're out of time, and it's been wonderful to have you, and you have a great task that you have to fulfill. And this has been Capital Views. I'm Mike Bradner, and thank you, Kathie.
Thank you, Mike.